Gothamites, I'm London, aka History of the Batman. One of the questions I get asked most often from Gothamites on History of the Batman just so happens to be about the outrageous trophies that you see in Batman's Batcave in comics. Asking why they're there, how they got there, and just why are they significant within the Batman's long mythology. So for this video, I briefly wanted to discuss 3 of the most well-known trophies within the Dark Knight's Batcave and why these pieces of iconography are important in understanding the Dark Knight's amazing history within DC Comics. Before we jump in, why don't you subscribe to this channel for more Batman content and also follow on History of the Batman's other social media, including Instagram at History of the Batman. We have tons of fun there and it would just mean so much to me if you will become part of this Gothamite community. Now on this channel, I have dived into a complete history on the Batcave itself. So if you are interested in learning a little bit more about the Dark Knight's underground cavern, basically his home away from home inside his large home, I will link that video in the description below, but here is a very brief history on the origins of the Batcave. The idea of the grandeur and almost whimsical Batcave didn't even exist in 1939's Detective Comics issue 27, which we know as Bruce Wayne aka the Batman's debut. But in the 1940 issues of Batman's Adventures in Detective Comics and Batman, you see almost crude sketches of a laboratory, a storage room, and a garage. He utilized a rundown barn across from Wayne Manor and a winch to transport the Batmobile and Batplane when needed, which is next to a pair of stairs that lead conveniently up to the living room. Without this simple underground system, the Batmobile and the Batplane would be marooned, according to Batman. Superman forbid, am I right? I mean, he was just so concerned. This idea for a more detailed lair for our hero comes in Bill Finger's story from 1942's Batman issue number 12, where he states that within the Wayne property, there are secret underground hangars. This issue also gave us a first look at the Batman's Hall of Trophies, a symbol of his 1001 victories over crime, which included a clear penguin statue of an actual penguin and a Joker mask. Just as many characters within DC Comics had their start in other DC media such as television, the Batcave didn't receive its name until Columbia Pictures' black and white 15-chapter serial titled The Batman, or simply Batman, with chapter 2 being called The Batcave from July of 1943. The serials not only gave the name to the now famous Bat icon, but it also established the entrance to the lair through Wayne Manor's grandfather clock. While there are many different pieces of memorabilia within the Batcave that have evolved over the last 8 decades, there are 3 trophies that have continually appeared within the Dark Knight's Batcave in comics ever since his 1940s Golden Age era. One of the 3 major trophies that you've probably seen if you've picked up a comic and seen Batman in the Batcave is a very large Joker card. The Joker card, unlike other more obscure pieces within the Batcave, such as giant chess pieces or giant dice, really doesn't have a clear origin story. If we look in pre-crisis continuity, while there are some stories that can provide a possible origin for this large Joker playing card, such as David Verne's 1952 story, The Crimes of Batman from World's Finest Comics issue number 61, where Batman stops Joker from stealing a deck of human-sized playing cards. Readers see the Joker card for the very first time inside the Harlequin of Hate's lair in 1946's Detective Comics issue 114. The first time you see the Joker card inside the Batcave actually comes in a classic Silver Age story by Leo Dorfman called The Bride of Batman. In this imaginary story that is published in 1969, Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane, issue 89, after Bruce Wayne and Lois get married, he reveals that he is the Batman. That story is just fun by itself, because Bruce dating Lois Lane and getting married and potentially having kids, I just love that, because of course Clark and Lois are meant to be in most continuities. And it always just reminds me of the 1997 animated movie Batman Superman World's Finest, when Bruce actually does date Lois Lane and she's almost gonna leave Metropolis and live with him in Gotham and work at the Daily Planet branch there. But then she finds out that Bruce is Batman and she's like, the Cape Crusader whole thing is just, I'm trying to step away. I just love their very interesting history with each other in a romantic way. Because Bruce literally has probably dated everybody at least once in the DC multiverse, because he's just kind of a hoe. It's fine. It's fine. And while you do see the Joker card in the background in the Batcave while you read comics, there is one more modern concrete origin story that is provided by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo in 2013's Batman issue 15, which is part of the larger saga Batman Death of the Family. Batman tells Red Hood, Nightwing, Batgirl, and Robin about one of the earliest encounters fighting Joker, and in returning to the Batcave after losing track of the Clown Prince of Crime, he finds a regular Joker playing card within the cave. Since then, he created an oversized replica of that card to remind him of the constant games his arch nemesis plays with him. Once Bruce tells the extended Batman family this story, they lose trust within Bruce, because not only did it show that the Joker somehow has made his way into the Batcave, but that also can reveal that he may know their secret identities, and it just becomes an entire mess. But whatever history you want to attach to this oversized Joker playing card that either hangs or sits very menacingly within the Batcave, the oversized card is an effigy of the Batman's arch enemy, the Clown Prince of Chaos, which literally is a representation of everything that the Batman fights against, and why Bruce Wayne takes up the cape and the cowl all together. Another one of the big 3 trophies within the Batcave that is such a classic is the one that I actually get asked about the most. And that is, of course, the giant T-Rex that you probably have seen many, many times within the Batcave if you've read Batman comics. Pick an era. The giant mechanical T-Rex is actually one of the few within the original Hall of Trophies that actually comes with an origin story. This origin comes in Bill Finger's 1946 story, Dinosaur Island. Published in Batman issue 35, a scientist creates a Jurassic Park-style amusement park complete with robotic dinosaurs, which is then taken over by a bunch of crooks that put the Caped Crusader through the ringer. After this adventure, Batman, of course, takes one of these mechanical dinosaurs and places it in his Batcave to remember how he conquered this dinosaur island. Funny enough, the mechanical dinosaur originally was a large brontosaurus, but by 1948, you can see the dinosaur has changed into a large T-Rex, which becomes the permanent type of dinosaur that you see within the Batcave for decades and decades to come. While the giant T-Rex, especially during the Silver Age of DC Comics, has been dismantled and put back together several times over, and has even faced great tragedy within modern comics, in particular when the Batcave was practically destroyed during 1999's Batman No Man's Land, where Gotham City was hit by a huge 7.6 earthquake. T-Rex actually has a little bit of functionality within more modern stories. For instance, in Paul Dini and Dustin Nguyen's concluding chapter of 2009's Batman Heart of Hush, when Hush infiltrates the Batcave, Alfred Pennyworth activates the robotic dinosaur to protect him, which is effective until Hush uses all of his gunpowder to deplete the mechanical beast. It isn't until later that Nightwing repairs the classic Batman iconography for his mentor and adoptive father. Giant T-Rex is my favorite trophy within the Batcave because it is just the perfect juxtaposition between the dull normality, the insane world that the Dark Knight inhabits. It literally is a perfect representation of the Batman's universe. How could you not love it? And our last trophy that we're going to highlight is, of course, the giant penny that I'm sure you have seen countless times within Batman comics. Now, not surprisingly, many automatically correlate the giant penny or the giant coin within the Batcave to, of course, Batman's classic rogue, Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face. But the real story of the giant penny actually comes in a classic Bill Finger story, which was originally published in 1947's World's Finest issue 30, and it was called The Penny Plunderers. When Joe Coyne, a newspaper salesman, loses his job after pitching pennies, he begins a life of crime with a focus on penny-themed schemes. After the dynamic duo of Batman and Robin defeat Coyne, the giant penny in one of his crimes stays as a souvenir within the Batcave. Ever since that story, the giant penny has been one of the main showcases within the Hall of Trophies during the Silver Age of DC Comics, and Batman has even used this penny to good use in fighting crime within the Batcave. In 1948's Batman issue 48, he uses the giant penny to sever the head of one of his mechanical dinosaurs that has been taken over by a Batcave intruder. Then in 1952's Detective Comics issue 186, Batman flies the giant penny in a helicopter to jam a criminal's radio waves. And one of my favorite stories that does deal with the giant penny, even if it's for just a couple of pages, comes in the 1982 story Shadow Play, which was published in Batman issue 348. In this story, Bruce Wayne, Alfred Pennyworth, and Dick Grayson move back into Wayne Manor during the 1970s, especially when Dick Grayson went off to college and attended Hudson University. They didn't need this huge manor, and they actually lived within the Wayne Foundation's penthouse for the course of the Bronze Age. Once they move back to Wayne Manor, they have to bring everything from the Batcave back in, and they have to transport the giant penny, which, funny enough, rolls away out of their hands. It is kind of a comedic bit, but I love the fact that we have something as common as moving into a new home, but then you have to move things like a giant T-Rex and a giant penny. Once again, I love stories that show the extraordinary with the ordinary just mixing together to show how Batman lives within the DC universe. The giant coin actually didn't become affiliated with Two-Face until the 1990s, in particular within the classic TV show Batman the Animated Series. The penny was once a death trap tool utilized by Two-Face. On one adventure, Two-Face and the Two-Ton Gang captured Batman and tied him down to the giant penny. The penny rested on an oversized coin flipping machine, and then Two-Face boasts that if the coin landed on its bad side, then the Batman would be crushed. But even if it landed on its clean side, the impact would break every bone in Batman's body. Two-Face then activates the flipping device, and the penny sailed through the air. Fortunately, Batman escapes when he uses the jagged edges of the villain's lucky coin to cut the ropes. Whether in comics or other outside media, these extravagant trophies, the large Joker playing card, the giant T-Rex, and the giant penny, all will continue to be iconic pieces of Batman's history, pretty much documenting the exciting adventures that the Dark Knight has had ever since his debut in 1939. Honestly, if I could have a giant T-Rex in my lair, this office, why wouldn't I? Thank you guys so much for watching this video about some of the classic trophies within Batman's Batcave. Which trophy, whether these big three or other ones, is your favorite within the Dark Knight's underground cavern? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a bat thumbs up. As always, all of my social media is linked in the description below, including Instagram at History of the Batman. So why don't you give it a follow and become a Gothamite? Check out the rest of my Batman videos on this channel. And of course, please subscribe. It would mean so much to me, and I would love for you guys to become a part of this Batman community. We'll have much more History of the Batman really soon right here on YouTube. Remember, Gothamites, all about peace, love, and Batman. Bye, guys.